against the Cavs. Kyrie missed the last 7 games due to personal reasons and COVID protocols. And here he was addressing the media for the first time. Take a listen.
I'm wondering if you were aware that you had violated the health and safety protocols and what that process was like for you in coming back and going through that investigation, one, and then secondly, what your communication was like with the team while you were away.
Happy to be back. Happy to be around these guys, address the team, address everybody that need to be addressed. Now it's time to move on.
I just was circling back on the health and safety front.
Happy to be back. Thank you. I'm a hometown kid, so, things hit a little different when, family or personal stuff going on, and that's up to me to handle that as a man. But yeah, I just take full accountability for my absence with the guys and, just had a conversation with each one of them and we move on. It's, pretty interesting in watching when you take a break from everything. There's just so many assumptions about what's going on. And so many people feel like they know me best. And they have no idea who I am, nor what I'm about, or what I stand for, or even attempt to take the time, or even for me to invite them to take the time. So it's a two-way street. And when things become overwhelming in life, you just got to take a step back and realize what's important. That's a big thing. I just want honesty. And in order to be honest, I got to be honest myself. And that's the first thing. So I know I can talk in circles and I know all these words get used, but I'm just being honest here. It's been a lot to balance. And now I called for help. And now I have just so many mentors and so many people reaching out and, just taking things off my plate that were never mine in the first place. And they are better suited for that position. So I'll play my role on this big team of changing the world, and others will do the same.
So pretty expansive there at the end. Richard, what's your reaction to Kyrie's comments?
Well, look, people, I actually got criticized when I said I hope he gets whatever, emotional, whatever, mentally, whatever help he needs, whether it's a lot going on and he needed to have mentors, people reach out to him, people check in. I said that a couple weeks ago.
You said that on the show a couple days ago, yeah.
Because it's more of like, hey, Kyrie, if Kyrie needs some time, we all get overwhelmed. And athletes it's literally the only job where you don't just get to be like, hey, I need a couple days off. Now I understand the money, I understand the months off, but if in the middle of the thick of it, you're dealing with something and you need to take time off, shout out to, Kevin Love and DeMar DeRozan that have really talked a lot about, dealing with their mental health. And so whatever he needed, if he got what he needed and he now has an infrastructure that will allow him to deal with it, good for him. I'm glad to have him back.
Yeah, it was good to just see him smile.
Yeah.
Just to have him back. He's one of our game's greats. And, we all go through our trials and tribulations. And the only thing is, when you go through these things, it's about the respect of the organization and your teammates. The constant, because when he first went away, there was no communication. Nobody knew what was going on. That's what your teammates, that's what the organization is there for you to help you in those times. I know you have family, they can help you also. It's just, the only thing I had a problem with was the communication. We all, like I said, we go through the things that we go through in life, and sometimes it's tough to step away from the game. But I use the game to help me get through these things also. I needed to be on the court when I went through my trouble. I needed to be in practice. I needed to be around guys who relate to some of the things that we all go through as professional players and role models.
Yeah.
And Kyrie noted that his family lives locally and that he said that hits different. Obviously, your involvement with your family, if something is going on in your family or even if something's just going on with him, everybody is there and around, which is a little bit different.
Home is tough, but one of the things that he talked about was like, a lot of people just started to assume. Well, you know what happens when people assume is because there was no communication. So I think he takes some ownership of this. I think people that were, questioning him or not criticizing him, but more of asking him what was going on or alluding to different things. Well, that also falls on you, right? That falls on you to communicate hey, I'm dealing with some personal stuff. I need some time away. And, hopefully he learns from this. And if he needs more time or whatever it is, it can be addressed.
I mean, look, he said, people assume they know about me. And he said, without even talking to me. And then he very quickly corrected himself. He said, or I don't want to let them in to talk to me. And he said, that's a two-way street, which I certainly appreciated him making that distinction. There were repeated questions at the beginning of, hey, what was going on with you, basically? And you heard him say over and over again, hey, I've addressed it with the people I need to address. Do you feel that there was enough information there, especially eventually as he got into talking more, for Brooklyn Nets fans of the team.
He doesn't owe, and this is, I want to say this as a person that has been a net lifer. He owes the fans very little. And I mean this from a respect place. He owes the teammates. He owns, because hypothetically, you could be traded, you could retire, and the fans, like, you don't owe them an answer. Barry Sanders, they're still looking for him in Detroit, right? Calvin Johnson, they're still looking for him, right? Like, you can up and retire and not say anything to anybody. So I don't say that. You owe it to the people in the locker room, the people that have supported you, the people that you go to war with, the people that you go to battle. And if those guys are cool, then it's not up to the media, it's not up to the fans, it's only the people that he has to show up with every day.
Yeah, you say the people who support him, the fans support him.
I understand that, but you can't, if you've got millions and millions of fans, you can't individually address them. You can't tell everybody.
No,
You've got to have some parts of your life that are private.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's my only thing, is that as long as the people in the locker room are okay with him, then Kyrie can move forward and be the great player that he is, right? It's just tough when, you're that individual. You feel like you owe a lot of people.
They go out and play well, win games, everybody will forget everything.
There you go.
Well, it looks like they're playing well already without him. And then, boy, just add another elite player into the mix. In fact, turns out to be the Eastern Conference Finals. You can sign me up for 7 games. This one had 20 lead changes, including 8 in the final 5 minutes alone. Giannis had a strong game overall, finishing with 34 points, 12 rebounds, and 7 assists, although the Nets took the book on defending him to an extreme. You know how most teams give Giannis space from deep? Well, Brooklyn gave him basically an entire county, averaging 15 feet of pad, the most any player has been afforded from 3 since Second Spectrum began tracking this stuff 8 seasons ago. Now, the Nets were much more physical with Giannis otherwise, though. Check the little shove there from
but
Durant.
he initiated that. He stepped in front of somebody. I'd be mad if I was KD, too.
Harden, meanwhile, finishing with 34, including hitting that little shot to put the Nets up 1. He also had that driving floater. Giannis would answer with a 2-handed putback, a little authority there. But it was Durant who would have the last word, draining the go-ahead 3 on a pass from Harden.
Look at that.
Afterward, both players discuss why they seem to be meshing together better now than even when they played together in OKC.
We were young in Oklahoma City. We're grown men now. We know what we want. We really know the game of basketball now. We're not those young guys that just run around and want to just shoot and dunk all day. We've been through a lot in this league, experienced a lot, and for us to bring it together now and combine what we've learned over this time and try to play great basketball, I think it was pretty seamless for us.
Yeah, it is nice when the NBA looks like the regular NBA, with fans screaming and arenas full of energy and players who can take the court each night without someone sticking a Q-tip up their nose 3 times a day. But as we saw yesterday, anyone who tells you what's going on this season isn't real basketball is missing just how much spectacular there still is to see. So we will get to Kyrie's sound in a moment, but from last night's Nets win, Paul, what was your biggest takeaway?
Man, this is scary. I'm not even on, because look, they're only 2 games in. They beat the top seed in the Eastern Conference, and they haven't even got their chemistry together yet. I mean, yeah, they're scoring points and getting assists. They're turning the ball over a lot. So you got to expect those to come down in the next few weeks as they get to know one another, as they implement Kyrie Irving. But man, like I said earlier, it's like having Jordan and Jordan on the same squad. It's like, who's number 2?
No, I kid you not.
I mean, seriously.
With all due respect to the 2-time MVP, the 2 best players in the Eastern Conference are on the Nets, right? And it's James Harden and it's Kevin Durant. And mainly the reason why I say that is not because of Giannis' defense and all that. It's more because when it comes down to the last 30 seconds of a game and you're in the postseason or you're in a moment where you need it, they have the 2 best players in the conference when it comes to knocking that down. So the postseason is going to be...
Could be 3 with Kyrie.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, obviously, when you talk about the last 30 seconds, Kyrie talking about, I finally have somebody that can knock down that shot. Well, congratulations. Now you got 2 of them.
Now you got 2.
Now you got 2 of them.
And look, this is the problem, too. You talk about the end of a playoff game. I mean, we're skipping some steps here, obviously, but you talk about the end of the playoff game with Giannis. I mean, you guys always tell me a big man, that's a tough position to put a big man in, to be depending on him finishing, especially if he's struggling at the free throw line. And we saw Giannis was better at the line last night. He had that game against the Mavericks the other night where I think he was 1 of 10 for the line. But his free throw shooting overall, guys, this season, he's at 59%. 4 years ago, he was at 77%, and it's just gone down every year since.
Well, pressure, like when people talk about pressure, a lot of times it rears its head in different places, right? Giannis now feels the pressure to win a championship. He feels the pressure to be MVP. And sometimes that pressure is not going to show up in your ability to dunk. It's going to show up in like the moments and in those little bitty things, whether it's a 3-point, whether it's your free throws, and you can see the decline. So I don't know, as the pressure has gone up and his free throw percentage has gone down, like physically he's still one of the most dominant guys we've ever seen, but like that pressure and the technique, that's where it's starting to show in his game.
He needs a closer, simple and plain. He needs a superstar closer like Shaq had Kobe and Wade. He needs that guy. I'm not sure Middleton could be that guy. He's a great piece and he's having a great year. He'll be an all-star. But we saw how they struggled down the stretch. And if Giannis can't make free throws or hit perimeter shots consistently down the stretch, then who's going to be that guy? And that's why I just don't have faith. Regardless of Milwaukee Bucks, they may finish first in the conference. I just don't have faith in them come playoff time because of that.
And look at that shot. Now, this is the thing. Milwaukee Bucks fans, we're not saying that your team isn't great. We're not saying that you can't win. You can't get to the conference finals. We're not saying that you can't win a championship.
You guys are just talking about the most elite level. These guys are champions. They're talking about that nuance of the most elite.
That's what you need to win.
Let's just say the last two shots, right? The last two shots of that game were taken by Chris Middleton, who's a very, very good player, an all-star. The last two shots for the Nets will be taken by James Harden, Kevin Durant, or possibly Kyrie Irving. Right. Let's just put that in perspective. 3 future Hall of Famers versus, all-stars, right? Versus an all-star, right? And I know we're jumping ahead when we talk about that, but you got 2 MVPs, leading scorers, all these different accolades versus Chris Middleton. And that's not a disrespect. That's just the reality.
No, it's just saying Chris Middleton's probably not one of the top 5 players in the NBA right now, which is an okay assessment.
It's okay assessment.
And I wouldn't say they struggled down the stretch. They were going, it was exciting. Lead for lead change, point for point, hit for hit. But yes, at the end, it was the Nets who came through, and they will be more powerful, more firepower with Kyrie Irving back. Probably not much longer for him to be out. He practiced for the first time with the team today, and Nets coach Steve Nash said it's great to have him back in the